Well, fight fans, tonight again at the Armory, it's fight night, and Jack Powers and Orville Lodi, Spokane promoters, are presenting another all-star fight card for you folks who, in the last several months, have enjoyed some rip-roaring fights down at the Armory. Tonight, we have Hank Thurman of Los Angeles going against George Parmentier, a Kellogg, Idaho boy, in the main event. We've met Parmentier several times before, also his manager, Spike Carney, and we're very happy to have in the KXLY studios this afternoon Hank Thurman from Los Angeles and his manager, Ralph Malone. Well, let's address a few questions to Hank Thurman first. First, how big are you, Hank?
Well, pretty good size.
Yes, you are, believe me. What are you, about 6 feet and a half tall, aren't you?
Yeah, about 6 feet.
And you weigh all around what? What do you weigh in today?
2'2".
About 2'2". In other words, you'll be spotting about, probably 30 pounds to Parmentier, but you're just about the same height as he is.
Yes, sir.
Have you ever fought a man that's as big as Parmentier?
No, I haven't.
Well, do you think there's going to be some advantage to, now, at 6'6", you're punching down on boys in most of your fights, have been. You'll be kind of punching straight across tonight. Do you think that'll...
I think it'll be a little better.
You think that might do better? Yeah. Well, now, Hank, have you been in training pretty extensively for this fight?
Yes, sir.
I know you just arrived in town last night. You flew in, and of course you had been working out down in L.A. before coming up for the fight. Another interesting thing about this fight, I think, is that you and George, a couple of the youngest and most promising heavyweight prospects in the fight game today, were scheduled to fight a couple of times before. What happened in those instances?
Well, I don't know what the cause was for that. We were scheduled to fight twice.
Once down in Frisco,
yes.
I think, weren't you? I think a training injury.
Eureka.
And once in Eureka. I think a training injury came into the picture there once.
Yes.
Well, fine. Let's talk to your manager now for a minute, Hank, if we may. How are you today, Ralph?
Just fine, thank you.
Is this your first trip to the Northwest?
Yes, it is.
Well, I know that we're glad to have you up here, and I think that you'll find Spokane a great fight town, Ralph, and I'm sure that you're going to bring Hank Thurman back here again and maybe some of the other fighters. Do you have any other fighters in your stable?
No, not now. I'm just playing along with this big fella.
Well, you know, there's a lot of playing along to be done because look at the size of those mitts. Undoubtedly, he's a great prospect. How old is he?
He's 23.
How long have you been managing him, Ralph?
About a year and a half.
And about how many pro fights has he had?
He's had 10 fights during that time, and he lost one.
Oh, what a deal that is.
7 knockouts.
And I think that one fight he lost, 7 knockouts.
That's right.
Is he one of these boys that goes out and can you maybe expect an early round knockout, or does he wear him down?
Every time we go in, we go for a knockout as soon as we can get it.
I see. Well, that makes for some great action tonight because I think Parmentier is pretty much the same sort of a boy. Well, I think also one of Hank's greatest fights was against one of the prime heavyweights in the country, Rex Lane, a boy well known here to Spokane fight fans. And I think that, how'd that fight come out?
Well, he lost a split decision to Rex.
In other words, it was really a brawl, and it was just could have gone either way.
It was a wonderful fight. Being a typical fight manager, I thought he won, but the judges didn't.
Well, it was a split decision.
Yes,
Why? I mean,
right.
it was just could have gone either way. We know that. Well, now, I think Hank's last fight was with, who was that? Who was it with?
Fritzy Fitzpatrick in Hollywood, the Hollywood Legion.
That was undoubtedly a great fight, and how did that one come out?
Well, that took place about 3 weeks ago, and Hank knocked him out in the 4th round.
And I think that Fitzy Fitzpatrick is one of your better-known heavyweights here on the coast.
Right.
Say, another thing, I know that Grant Butcher, he's still accepted down there in California as the heavyweight champion of California. And I know that you'd like to get Hank in the ring with Grant, wouldn't you?
Well, we've been dickering for a match. That is, Cal Working has, who is the promoter for Hollywood. But up to date, we're unable to get him to fight Hank.
But you'd sure love to get him in there.
Love to get him in there, yes, sir.
You know, another thing about this fight tonight, Hank is the prime contender for the California State Heavyweight Championship.
Yes,
and undoubtedly, George Parmentier is more or less of a co-holder with Joe Cahoot of the Northwest Heavyweight title.
That's
and, of course, we think undoubtedly that Thurman, your boy, can beat Grant Butcher if he gets him to the ring. And so this could almost be an unofficial, it isn't official, but an unofficial Coast Heavyweight Championship fight tonight.
That's right, Marty.
Well, now, what's Hank's best fighter? Maybe we ought to ask Hank what his best punch is. Could you tell us?
I think the right cross.
Your right cross. How do you usually set a man up for that? With your left jab?
Yeah, left jab or left hook.
With your left hook or jab. And have you ever, do you pack quite a little power in that left jab?
Well, I think so.
You can really get him going backwards,
yes.
With it? Well, that's wonderful. And what do you think his right cross is the best punch he has too, Ralph?
I think his left hook is equally as good.
Equally as good,
yes,
and possibly as much power too, huh?
Yes, sir. He hurts more fighters with the left hook than anything else.
What did he use on Fitzy Fitzpatrick?
Left hook, and then finished him off with the right.
Really gave it to him, huh? Did he have him down several times, or was it just a sort of a quick ending there?
3rd round, he had him down twice, And fourth round had him down 4 times.
He finally stayed down, huh?
Yes, sir.
Well, wonderful. Well, I'll tell you, let's thanks a lot, Ralph
You're
and
entirely
Hank.
welcome.
And we'll have probably have you on the air tonight after that fight, Hank. We'll climb into ringside, and whether you're a winner or a loser, we'll be wanting to talk to you. And boy, I'm telling you, I don't think anybody even cares to hazard a guess on the outcome of this fight. You don't, do you, Powers? Of course, you're a promoter. You wouldn't say anyway.
The only kind of a prediction I can make on this fight is looks like an awfully good fight.
So, you know, this is following a great fight. Do you think, undoubtedly, I think this just might be just as good a bloody backroom brawl as we had in this Cahoon.
It certainly isn't an impromptu fight. It was put on, it was a fight that, as you said a moment ago, had been scheduled twice before. Another thing that maybe you did or didn't know is that this fight was already signed indirectly. I had signed with Mr. Malone for this fight to be for Thurman to meet the winner of the originally scheduled fight tonight. In other words, this just moves up 2 weeks sooner is all.
Well, Jack, actually, I mean, I think that, I don't know what you think, but I think that Parmentier would have beat Stromquist. I think Stromquist was a great big man. That was probably his prime requisite to fame. But I think that Parmentier would have beaten him undoubtedly. So we're more or less getting the follow-up fight
Thurman
first,
has a
aren't we?
far better record, of course.
That's
than
right.
Stromquist did.
That's right. He's fought some good boys, and
It was
he's
really too good a fight to put on short notice. That's the trouble. We should have had at least a week or 10 days publicity on it because it is a fight. Both United Press and Associated Press have asked for a complete report on the fight tomorrow night. It's attracting national attention.
So there's no doubt about that. Not only a couple of the biggest young heavyweights, but a couple of the best young heavyweights. Well, now, Jack, what have you got lined up for a supporting card?
Well, we've got a little innovation here tonight, Marty. We've got all 6-round bouts. Most of the fighters on the sporting cards tonight all consider themselves, at least, to be above 4-round caliber, and I guess the tired of arguing with them, I put them all on 6 rounds.
How many of those 6-rounders?
4 6-round bouts. All 4 of the sporting bouts are all 6 rounds.
Let's see, that'll be a 34-round of fighting.
You want to run through it quickly?
Yeah,
we
let's
have
go.
time. All right,
Yeah,
the
I think
opener,
so.
4 rounds. Jackie Clark of Spokane, 155 pounds, meets Rockabye Ross, a newcomer and supposed to be a terrific puncher from Seattle, the same weight.
Well, one thing about Jackie, he's never given a bad fight.
He has no dog in him.
That's
He
right.
always fights.
There's always a fight.
Jerry Strutz, the classy little boy from Whitworth College, who people like so well, quite a credit to the business, as you know. He boxes Indian Willie Boyd, another Spokane good amateur fighter, turned
You
pro
betcha.
here a few fights ago.
Both of them crowd pleasers.
They're going to fight 6 rounds. Bobby Woods of Hollywood, who made a terrific impression on the last show by beating Bobby St. Clair, as you recall.
It really
He
surprised us
fights
on that
George
one.
Papa Brown, the Seattle 135-pounder. He's spotting 4 or 5 pounds of weight, and Brown is the guy that stole the show on the last Matthews card, where I won the prize for the outstanding bout on the card.
Mm-hmm.
And then Dave Pittman, a rough, tough Walla Walla light heavyweight, 175-pounder. He's going to tackle Wally McLeod, who formerly was a sparring mate and stablemate of Billy Carter. He's from Vancouver,
yeah.
British Columbia, weighs 183.
Well, that ought to be a dilly. I hear that Titman really gave a terrific scrap up
While it
there in
lasted.
Coeur d'Alene here.
Well, it lasted.
Yeah, but I heard it was really a honey.
Yeah, it was one of the coldest knockouts I ever saw.
That was against Hansen, wasn't
Yeah,
it?
he knocked
Lee
Hansen out. He knocked him out twice, in fact. He flattened him the first round, but the gong saved him. They revived him, went out, and he got flattened again in the second round.
Well, all I can say is it looks like a terrific card. I think that you're going to have a great turnout tonight, too, Jack, because
think so.
I'll tell you, I think all the fans are remembering those last 2 cards, and undoubtedly they've been a couple of the best cards ever seen in Spokane or any place else. The fight time is again 8:30.
8:30 p.m.
That's right, and there'll be tickets at sale at the door, of course.
Yes.
And, of course, they can still pick tickets up at the...
Take it regular downtown outlets, Al Morse, Pizza Choice, until about 5:30 or 6 o'clock, and from then on to the Armory Gate.
Well, that's wonderful. All I can say then is see you fight fans out there tonight. In case you can't come, and we hope all of you can come, we will be rebroadcasting this fight around 10:30 tonight. So we'll see you all out to fight, and to you, Hank Thurman, good luck in your bout tonight with George Parmentier. So long.
Good night, Marty.
Tuesday night, and once again it's fight night here in Spokane as well as in the nation. Tonight, earlier on CBS and KXLY, you heard the Johnny Greco, Don Williams fight, and saw the judging of a draw fight in Maryland tonight. Well, tonight here in Spokane at the Spokane Arena, we have another great fight card lined up by promoter Jack Powers. And we're here to bring you the results of that fight. So far this evening, we've had 4 preliminary bouts. The first one pitting Jackie Clark at 159 pounds against George Rockabye Ross of Seattle. Jackie Clark is one of the Spokane favored boys. In that bout, Ross got a 6-round decision over Clark. Ross was the aggressor all the way through the fight, plodding ahead, and he was far more experienced than Mr. Clark. In the second bout tonight, Willie Boyd of Spokane, who's been fighting for quite a few years around here, and a much improved fighter, incidentally, fought Jerry Strutz of Whitman College out here. And Jerry, of course, always an aggressive fighter, always draws a big crowd from out at the college and from Spokane. An aggressive Willie Boyd and a very patient Jerry Strutz. It was a close, unanimous decision for Mr. Strutz. And then in our third bout for this evening, we pitted Mr. Bobby Woods against Papa Brown. Mr. Bobby Woods is from Hollywood at 129.5 pounds. Papa Brown was at 134.5 pounds. He was from Seattle. It was a bout that was perhaps the most surprising of all tonight. Bobby Woods, who looks perhaps less like a fighter than any man we've ever seen, got out there and really exploded like a ton of dynamite. Bobby Woods looks like the kid next door, like some high school kid that is hanging around at the jute boxes and the soda fountain, but when he gets out into that ring, he's an entire changed personality. He has a bored look about him. He fights slowly, waiting patiently, and when he opens up, it's lightning fast and swift. In the first round, Woods knocked Mr. Papa Brown down, and in the second round, also Woods knocked Papa Brown down with both times with hard left hooks to the midsection. It was a unanimous decision for Woods. Brown was completely outclassed. In our fourth bout tonight, we pitted Dave Titman at 180.5 pounds against Wally McLeod of Seattle. Dave Titman has fought here in Spokane before. He's a Walla Walla boy, highly touted. Wally McLeod came to Spokane tonight from Seattle, a boy with very high recommendation. The fight progressed very slowly at first, with Titman taking a slight edge in the first couple of rounds. Then McLeod seemed to loosen up somewhat from his rather slow start, and the fight finally ended with two very tired light heavies. They fought to a 6-round draw tonight. The judges this evening, incidentally, are Joey August and Hal Denny, who are two regulars around the Spokane Fights Arena. The timer tonight is Alex Geramonti, and Tony Felice is counting at the knockdown, as is the custom here in the Fights Arena in Spokane. Well, we have a man here tonight who's going to do a bit of blow-by-blow for you, Greg Martin, so we'll let him say a few words to you. How you doing, Greg?
Well, all I can say, Milt, is that I'm a little disappointed in this crowd, because I think the fans so far have been treated to a very fine card, and I think that this main event will be a fitting climax to really what could be almost a sensational night. And I wouldn't be surprised at all to see Hank Thurman of Los Angeles and George Parmentier tangle in another Pier 6 brawl here tonight, something like the Joe Cahoot fight, George Parmentier fight the last 3 weeks ago, Wednesday night, here at the Armory. Hank Thurman just came into town last night. We got to see him loosen up a little bit at the gym tomorrow night, or last night rather. He didn't do any sparring or anything like that, but he moves very well. He's as tall as is George Parmentier. Both boys around 6'0", 6'5 and a half, 6'6", almost the same height. Parmentier a little broader, a little beefier, and he'll outweigh Thurman tonight by approximately 30 pounds. However, after seeing Thurman, as we said, work out just briefly in the gym down at Al Morse's, we can tell that the boys had a lot of experience. In fact, he's had more experience than Parmentier. He's fought some good boys. He's about the same age as Parmentier. In fact, I think he's a year younger. Thurman's about 23, Parmentier 24. Both boys, of course, have youth at their side, so you can't say that it's the old-timer fighting the boy coming up. Both these boys are coming up. They're young, not like the Marciano-Lewis fight here of last week, when, of course, it was the up-and-coming Marciano against a tired, aging Joe Louis. These boys are both young. They both have great ring prospects. They are great ring prospects, rather. And now the announcer coming into the ring, and here we have Hank Thurman coming into the ring in a white wardrobe, and he's a giant, believe you me. We said before, 6 feet 5 and a half, 6 feet 6 inches tall, and he weighed in this afternoon at the weighing-in ceremonies, 202 pounds. George Parmentier. Well, here's Spike Carney, and here's George Parmentier in his red and black, his black robe with his red trimming with the big George Parmentier on the back of it. Spike Carney's his manager. They've come into the ring. I think it looks now as though Parmentier will have the corner right above us here in the northwest corner of the ring, and across from us will be Hank Thurman. By the way, Hank Thurman is managed by a swell fellow we met him this afternoon, Ralph Malone. Both boys, or both Hank Thurman and his manager, Ralph Malone. It's the first time that either one has been here to the Northwest, and they were quite impressed by the courtesies extended to them here in the Northwest and in Spokane. The referee, by the way, for this main event tonight will be Don Miller. The judges for the main event will be Joey August, who is the brother of Commissioner Louis August, and veteran Judge Hal Denny. Both fighters come into the ring. They're now working, getting their lacings in shape on their shoes. Over here in this corner, Spike Carney is working on Parmentier, looking over the gloves, ready to put the gloves on. The gloves, of course, in the main event, unlike for the preliminary events, the gloves are put on after the fighters enter the ring. They were thrown into the ring in a box, brand new gloves, before the fighters came into the ring, and they're put on after they get into the ring. I think that semi-final fight, might go back to that for just a moment. Well, I think that neither of those boys, that was Titman and McLeod, neither of those boys had too much finesse, but both of them put on a very fine brawl, and it was a lot of claret flowing, and it was quite a crowd pleaser all the way around. Both boys just a little clumsy at times, but their willingness made up for it, and it was really a crowd pleaser. Let's listen here for a minute to the announcer and see what he has to say here. Who is this? We have Chuck Ross is being announced now from ringside. In fact, there will probably be several fighters of the Inland Empire's outstanding fighters. Would you like to take over here, Milt, and while these fighters are being introduced?
Okay, when you're getting your material all set there, Greg, I'll take over. This, the fellow that was just introduced and came up into the ring was Charlie Chuck Ross, a colorful heavyweight prospect of the Inland Empire. Coming up now, who was that? Nelson?
Can't see who it is.
I can't see either. He's from Fairchild Air Force Base, Ricky Lloyd. He's a new fighter in the area, one who has made a good showing in past performances. Both Parmentier and Thurman now are getting their gloves adjusted. Finally, they're tightening the thongs, loosening the glove with the hands and fingers, making sure that the glove is plenty supple so that there'll be no injuries to the bone on the hand. At the same time, they're scratching the soles of the shoes of both fighters to make sure that the traction is at its most full. Here comes another fighter.
That hand there is for Jimmy Merrill. You know, Jimmy's
Jimmy
quite
Merrill.
A crowd pleaser. He's fought 2 fights here in Spokane, won 2 one-round knockouts. The only thing bad about Merrill is we can't find anybody to fight him that's of high enough caliber to give him a bout.
Right, he's one of the best welders around. Little Joy Velez, a past fight favorite of all the fans here in Spokane, has returned to Spokane from Seattle, where he's working, has a business of his own now. He hasn't been doing much fighting. He tells me that he's in the photography business and also doing a little drawing on the side. Joy's over now saying hello and goodbye to Hank Thurman, and now he comes over to this corner to give his respects to George Parmentier. Another announcement, another fighter.
The return to the Spokane ring of Little Joe Velez. Incidentally, he has lost our 27th Spokane boxing card and has yet to lose his first fight. Al Pinky Cowan.
And now Al Cowan, an old favorite for some and a subject of dissension for a lot of others. Pinky Cowan is a very excellent, well-built, well-bodied fighter who always is good for a fast fight, a good fight. He's a tough, rugged man, and he's a Pinky. The reason they call him Pinky is not only because of his complexion, but also because of the color of his hair. Pinky Cowan was here during the war and put on a good showing during and after the war.
There's a fight that local fans can look forward to. It's going to be Pinky Cowan and Little Joe Velez. Little Joe Velez will appear once again in the Spokane ring in the very near future against Pinky Cowan in what should be really a Donnybrook. You know, I think, Milt, that the fact of it being Halloween and probably a lot of folks not wanting to leave the home fires, perhaps unattended, should we say?
Yeah.
In the case of any youngsters, you know, sort of getting a little out of hand. I think probably possibly that's cut down on the gate.
I think so. Most of the raised ring sides on both the east and the west sides are filled. The ringside section seems to be mostly filled, and up in the balcony I see that there are quite a few seats left. However, the south and north sections of the raised ringside are almost empty.
I'd put it this way: it isn't a bad crowd. However,
No, it
following those two very fine cards
Yeah.
which we had, I think that Jack Powers and Orv Odie are deserving of a better turnout.
Oh,
for
yes,
this fight
they are
tonight.
indeed. And beside that, this fight tonight between George Parmentier and Hank Thurman is drawing nationwide interest. You see, these are the two biggest and the two youngest and the two best of the heavyweights on the Pacific Coast. And the outcome of this fight is being heralded by both AP and UP with full stories coverage, and they're also requesting the full, complete coverage for national circuits. It's a fight that's not only thought of as a big one here in Spokane, but also is one of the nation's top fights today.
Well, that's right. There's no doubt about that. Here we're getting the announcement out from ringside. Let's get it. Well, you can tell there's a big crowd here from the mining cities of Kellogg and Wallace. Yes, a big contingent down to see their hometown boy, George Parmentier, fight tonight. Is that right, boy?
They told me last week that they brought down 2 busloads. I imagine about the same amount are here
Well,
tonight.
there were 50 ringside sold to just his immediate friends and family up there, and there's probably a bunch of other people that drove down, so you can figure that out.
Yes.
I'll say another thing interesting about George Parmentier. I was talking to George in the dressing room before the fight, and he said that his brother drove 900 miles or more, I don't know just how far it is, from Eureka, California, just to see him fight tonight. So he's going to be out there fighting for the whole family.
Right. All right, both boys are disrobing now. Parmentier in his corner, right above us, and Mr. Thurman across the way in green trunks with black piping, and here's Greg Martin.
All right, both boys come out of the ring. They're sparring around the center of the ring. Neither one has led a punch as yet. There's a left led by Thurman. It doesn't land. There's a hard left by Parmentier. However, it's caught by Thurman on his gloves. Still no punches landed. There's a left and left exchanged by Thurman and Parmentier both. There's a hard left to the midsection by Thurman, and they go into a clinch. Both boys punching away at the midsection in the clinch. No damage done. None of the punches hard. Both boys now sparring around in the middle of the ring. And there's a left hook by Thurman and a left to the kidney by Parmentier, neither punch carrying too much weight. There was a hard left hook by Parmentier to Thurman's nose, and Thurman pushes Parmentier into the ropes. Now they come out of it. There's a left and a right, and a hard right by Thurman. And the boys clinch again. Referee Don Miller, he sets them apart. Now they're out in the middle of the ring, and they go into a clinch again, both boys pounding a couple of blows apiece into the kidneys. Now Don Miller comes in and breaks them up again. Action slow as boys just feeling each other out. A couple of left leads by Thurman, both of them short. There's a left and a right by Parmentier. Not too much damage done with either punch, however. Parmentier feints with that left, doesn't throw it. There he throws a couple, and they go into the neutral corner over there as Parmentier pushes Thurman into the corner and pummels him with lefts and rights momentarily. Not too much damage done. Now they pull out of it. Both boys in the center of the ring now again. There was a hard left hook by Parmentier. That shook Thurman. That was the first good punch of the fight. However, Thurman doesn't look to be hurt bad at all. They're about in the center of the ring now. Parmentier didn't follow up his advantage. It didn't hurt Thurman too much, although it did shake him just for a moment. There was another hard left by Parmentier. There's a hard right by Parmentier. Thurman backs off. There's 2 hard lefts, 3 hard lefts by, or not lefts, light left jabs, we should say, by Thurman. There's another hard left hook by Parmentier. They move around in the center of the ring. Parmentier, the aggressor right now. There's a left hook by Parmentier. No retaliation. There was a right. There's a left hook by Thurman. Parmentier doesn't throw a punch in that exchange. Now they're back in the center of the ring. Parmentier again, the aggressor. A right hook by Thurman, partially blocked by Parmentier as they go into a clinch. Out in the center of the ring again. Both boys are short with the left hooks. In the center of the ring there, Thurman with a left and a right. Parmentier retaliates with a left and a right. The left to the head, the right to the body. Both boys out in the center of the ring. Not too much action as yet. Both boys feeling each other out. There was a light left by Thurman to Parmentier's head. There's a left to another left. 3 lefts in a row by Thurman to Parmentier's head. None of them powerful punches. There's the bell. Well, that was just a round of feeling out, shall we say.
That was a round of feeling out. In that round, Greg, I think that Parmentier was the aggressor, with Mr. Thurman perhaps being the most easy on his feet and the one who's waiting for the other one to come. Mr. Parmentier definitely was the aggressor in that round. Where the round goes, nobody can know except those who are judging, and we're not. Mr. Thurman is very light on his feet. He moves backward very swiftly. He's very fast on counter-punching. Mr. Parmentier is the on-the-toes fighter at times, and again at times flat-footed, moving slowly. And then suddenly, from a crouch, he'll go in to throw a hard left and a right in exchange. Thurman definitely is the lightest on his feet, I would say, in this first round. Now let's go into round 2 and see what happens now, Greg.
All right, there was the warning buzzer. Both boys come out of the corner. In the center of the ring. Still just feinting each other. There was a left by Thurman. Just barely. Another left just barely grazes George's chin. Another left just grazes George's chin by Thurman. Still out in the center of the ring. Parmentier with his back to us now. Just feeling each other out. Parmentier hasn't. There he tried a left. It was short. There was a left hook by Thurman to Parmentier's nose, and claret started to flow from Parmentier. There Parmentier retaliates with a couple of lefts to Thurman's head. They go into a clinch, and both boys pummel each other around the midsection. Now they break it up. Don Miller breaks it up. Out in the center of the ring again. No punches being thrown right now. There was a left, 2 lefts by Thurman. Neither one of them doing too much damage. However, they did scrape that nose, which is starting to bleed. There was another left by Thurman, and George retaliated with a right. And Parmentier's down. Parmentier's down from a hard left hook by Thurman. A hard left hook by Thurman dropped Parmentier. I don't believe he's going to get up. There he is. He's up. He's up at the count of 9. Looked for a minute. He started to get up at 7, and then he sort of sunk back down. Didn't look like he was going to make it. However, he did. That was a hard left hook. Thurman comes in on Parmentier with lefts and rights. Parmentier tries to clinch. There's another hard right, and Parmentier is down again. I think that's all of it. I think the fight's over. 2, 3 hard rights there. 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. The fight's over. The fight's over. Thurman wins.
Yes. There it is, and Thurman wins. George Parmentier, 232 pounds of man from Kellogg, Idaho, was knocked out in the second round. Up there in the ring, Mr. Parmentier has just collapsed again. Thurman moves over onto the northeast corner of the ring. His trainer, Mr. Ralph Flanagan, is over there now. Mr. Parmentier is still trying to crawl to his feet. There's a girl in there trying to assist him to his feet, and now his trainers finally got him over into this corner, and are working on him feverishly. Now then, Greg Martin is trying to get up there into the ring so that he can talk to Hank Thurman of Los Angeles, who gave away 30 pounds tonight.
Left hook to the body.
Left hook, that's what we thought you had him with. And of course you finished him off with about 3 or 4 hard rights in there.
Yes, they hit.
There was terrific punches.
How do you feel about this fight?
Well, feel pretty good.
Was it a little easier than you thought it was going to be?
Yeah, I think so, yeah.
That first round, of course, both boys, both of you just feeling each other out, and it certainly, there was no portent in that first round of a quick knockout in the second round.
No.
When did you feel that you had him?
Well, about 20 seconds after the bell rang.
Even before you dropped him that first
Yeah.
time?
Mhm.
Well, that punch came so fast, I hardly saw it.
Yeah.
I did call the left hook, however, because, of course, we were warned this afternoon, your manager and you both told me that
Yeah.
that left hook sort of sets your man up. Well,
And in my estimation, this boy is one of the coming boys.
well, I think that he showed the fans tonight. He undoubtedly is one of the coming boys.
He's a great fighter, a great prospect, and his manager can be very proud of this boy.
Ralph, by the way, would you say something, boys? How are you, Ralph?
Fine, how are you?
Congratulations on a fine win
Thank you
tonight.
very much. Thank you.
Well, I tell you, I didn't expect this fight to end this quick, believe you me.
Well, I told Hank I'd like for him to get him in the first round, but we decided to feel him out first. We really figured on a third or fourth round knockout.
Well, I know this afternoon, of course, you told me that, well, you hoped it wouldn't go the distance, and believe you me, it didn't, boy. I mean, it really stopped. What are your plans for this boy from here on?
We're going right back to Los Angeles and going training.
Well, listen, you going to come back to Spokane?
I don't know.
Okay, here's Jack Powers. What about that,
Certainly
Jack?
be back in Spokane if there's any possible chance to get him back. That's
Well-
one of the prettiest right hands I've ever seen
Have you
in
ever
my
seen
life.
anything like it?
Why, that punch didn't travel 6 inches.
Uh-uh.
It just snapped like a machine gun bullet.
Well, that first
I never
punch...
seen a heavyweight punch that fast. Have you ever?
Oh,
Marty?
it practically caught me
I've seen
unawares.
lightweights that you can shoot a punch like that, but never a heavyweight. That's the fastest heavyweight I've seen in many
Well,
a
I
day.
tell you, Al Gross over here, he, of course, predicted this, that it might end like this. I wonder if we could talk to George Parma. No, George is... Spike, Spike boy. Excuse me, Ralph. One of those things, Spike.
Well, that's one of those things. But
We'll be back at him again, won't we, Spike?
That's right.
Huh? Is that right?
You bet we will.
How you feel, George boy?
I feel good.
Okay, kid. That's right. Okay, we'll see you. Nice going, boy. Well, that's just about all there is from ringside here this evening. The crowd gathered around. Would you take it back there, Gene, while I get out of the ring, please?
Okay, I got her. Thanks a lot, Greg. You've been hearing ring interviews with Greg Martin. We finally got the time on that. Hank Thurman of Los Angeles knocked out George Parmentier of Kellogg, Idaho, and the time was 1:32 in the second round. It was a heavyweight fight. Hank Thurman gave away 32 pounds in this fight tonight. That's the hand now for George Parmentier, who has completely recovered and has left the ring. Hank Thurman has already disappeared. Well, let's see, Greg. That looks like it's about it for tonight. The
That just
fans are
about
beginning to
winds it
file out. We've had.
I think that was it practically. Well, I mean, I just can't believe it yet. I mean, it came so quick.
That was the fastest right hand I have ever seen.
As you heard him, Thurman say in the ring, excuse me, I'm just a little excited, a little out of breath going down the ring. But it was the first punch which really set him up was that left hook to the body, which I called when he went down the first time, and then of course the right.
Yeah.
And then of course 3 or 4 hard rights to the head really finished him off.
I don't know what the fighter up there said, but to me it looked as though that punch didn't travel over
That's
8,
right.
10 inches.
That's right. It
Something
was
like
a very,
that. Around 8 or 10
as Jack
inches.
Powers
Yeah.
said, Milt, the punch traveled just a very short. Dempsey, you know, used to punch those
Yeah,
short
yeah.
punches and pack a knockout. But there's not too many like that. And Thurman's punches traveled tonight just a very short distance, and they really packed that wallop. You know, to knock a boy 6 feet 6 inches and 232 pounds off his feet the way Thurman did, well, you've got to pack a terrific punch.
That's right. Well, fight fans, tonight we've had boxing in Spokane and boxing on KXLY. Tonight we've had 5 bouts managed by Mr. Jack Powers at the local Spokane Arena. And once again, we invite you to listen to KXLY for all fight broadcasts. And we hope that you were pleased with the outcome. Hank Thurman, main event. Hank Thurman of Los Angeles, 202 pounds, knocked out George Parmentier, 232 pounds of Kellogg, Idaho, in the amazing time of 1 minute 32 seconds of the second round. That's it for tonight, fight fans. Thanks a lot for listening. This is your Pioneer Broadcasting Station.